So move on to Councillor Foster.
Yeah, just a quick comment, and I don't want to sound like a cold-hearted and put whatever adjective you want behind the thing, but you know, the simple reality in today's day and age is that using temporary full-time is actually a very common practice. The private sector has had to do this for a lot of years, and in fact, I can tell you from my past experience within it, that was the only thing that was being done out in the private sector for the most part. And there was a wide variety of reasons for doing it. It's our job to be fiscally responsible here at Niagara Region. And so this amendment actually is quite fiscally responsible. We've been told that there's going to be changes in this area, and it makes perfect sense. And I can tell you from personal experience, I do know of staff that have come in on these particular contracts because they want to come in on the contracts. There's need for them to do that. And then they end up going and becoming either full-time staff or they move on to their next job. So there's nothing wrong with this. And in fact, I think this is actually very positive. And we can sit around and be warm and fuzzy if we want, but we really do need to have the fiscal management that's coming into place. I actually think this is a very good amendment. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Foster.
With respect to my colleague through you, Mr. Chair, I did take offense to the warm and fuzzy comment. My reasoning for wanting staff to be full-time and my echoing the work of the current service provider, I really wanted to drive that home. And it is not warm and fuzzy. And to the point that's being made that it's fiscally responsible to have part-time staff, it was discussed over here that if we have staff who are here for 3 months and then they get a better gig because now they have the region on their resume, now we have to hire. So then we have people in HR out there recruiting. So we don't actually know that this is fiscally responsible. So I'm a little fired up because I think that comment was it didn't sit well with me. So I am being very thoughtful when I say that the way that it was written and the respect that we're hopefully trying to extend, because we made the decision to sell this. We made all of these employees vulnerable to losing their jobs, and they've done a great job for our region. This is 40 years in the making. So I will adamantly not be supporting the temporary full-time. I think we can do better than that, and I appreciate that staff were thoughtful in the manner in which it was originally written.
As of the end of 2025, this volume graph goes down to 0, right? Is that correct?
No.
Through the chair, theoretically, it should be going to the producers to manage, but we know that some of those calls will still come to us. Residents will call their government for these types of services. It'll take a while, I think, for those calls to significantly drop, but they could drop. We're still seeing calls go to local area municipalities for waste management, and that transitioned in 1996. So the calls will decline. I don't think they'll go to 0.
Okay, but
if I could,
I'll get Bruce to respond right now to that.
If I could, Councillor. So I think Director Habermail is referring to calls that relate to recycling, but these are all of our calls with respect to waste management. So it includes things like a request for a diaper exemption. I believe it would include that my garbage wasn't picked up, that my organics hasn't been. So it's all calls. And that's probably where the bit of the confusion occurs, is we're talking primarily about blue box here, but the call taking is for all calls related to waste management services.